Good morning. I all of a sudden feel so nervous. I think it's just part of that deal I've made with myself that when I made this deal again, that when I push play, that whatever I say, I'm posting it. And it just keeps these expressions very raw and vulnerable, which is my favorite, which is the point in a way. No starting over. Update. My right leg hurts. I walked around way too much yesterday. Way too much just inefficient energy usage. You have to be very, really dialed in with your energy when you're living out of your car, especially as a human design projector. And yesterday I was not that. I was just everywhere. Just a massive day of draining energy unnecessarily. I think it's because I was trying to avoid feelings and discomfort, and I was trying to fill in, when you're living out of your car, or when you're, it's like you have to keep facing your own emptiness over and over and over again. It's like there's nowhere to, it's like sometimes the body's like, okay, now we go home and rest, right? And you're like, well, we're home, honey. So it was one of those kind of days, but I do feel like my right leg is healing because there's more energy flow there. But because there's more energy flow and it's feeling better, I all of a sudden think I'm 100% now. I can just do whatever. I can just be like I've always been. Or I can just pretend like my leg's normal. And it's not, it's still healing. And so today is a big rest day. I laid in my car for 10 hours last night. I think from 10 till 8 in the morning. Or maybe longer I laid there, but I think I slept a long time, which is, I needed it. You might not be able to tell. I might look 100 years old at this point. Who knows? Spirits are high. The body is dead. That was a quote that came through this morning. And actually the body's doing fine. Lots of light in it. Lots of divine love happening. Yesterday when I was driving, I spilled my big Geo water bottle. It just tipped over and spilled so much water in the center of my bed. So last night I was sleeping on just a sliver of my bed, and it kind of was getting damp through. It was just so much water. It didn't have time to dry. It seeped all the way down into the foam. So I was like, oh, thanks God. I didn't even get mad. I was just like, huh, okay. It's like when things are already hard and then they get kind of harder. Sometimes it's just whatever. Things are already hard. It doesn't, It's like, this must be a gift too. There must be something beautiful in this. And actually last night as I was laying there, not able to use the full bed, almost all the blankets got soaked. I was just thinking, wow, I'm going to be so grateful when this dries. And it's going to feel so good to be able to have my bed back. I was finding the silver lining. I was it's going to feel so amazing again tomorrow night when everything's dry. And I get to stretch out and have the whole bed again. I'm going to rest so well. And so that was nice. Just immediately adapting perspectives that are empowering and helpful. There's not a lot of space to be negative in my life right now. And there's not actually that much to be negative about. I'm very blessed. I feel very, it's all throughout the day when things are hard, I always ask myself, when I really want something to make me feel better, and sometimes I'll go have a little sugar or whatever. Yesterday I had a cherry limeade slush and watched an episode of Kill Tony and went into this portal of feminine mommy love or something. It was I just mothered myself. I was just having this slushy, like a little boy, watching this hilarious show with comedian. It's really great, Kill Tony. And I just forgot about where I was, who I was. And I was just in this portal of just enjoying something that people would say would be unhealthy, but whatever. It was just a nice break from everything. And I just kind of disappeared into a different realm for a minute. But what I was saying is, a lot of times when things get really hard, can be almost a lot of moments throughout the day, and I am wanting something external, and it doesn't, and so I can't always have a slush like every 10 minutes, I always ask myself, can I find more God? Can I find God here? Can I find one more morsel, one more crumb of God in this moment? And the answer is always yes. It's like, yeah, I can find more God right now. Whenever it's just like I'm at that point where I'm like, what am I doing? When there feels like there's no way out, There's just no way out. And I'm like, can I go deeper into this? Can I go so deep into this that I'm actually okay in it, that I don't need to get out of it? Can I go so deep into this? Can I find so much God right where I'm at that I don't even need to get out of it anymore? And that's it. And that's it. And that's what, it's just pushing me deeper and deeper inward. It's pushing me to let go. It's like more and more the self that fights with life, more and more the self that finds the circumstances unbearable or too uncomfortable. More and more that self is just, it needs to be surrendered. It must be let go. More and more the self that can't face its own emptiness, its own non-existence. It's like that self false. It's like that programming. Yeah. Man, it's really something to just surrender yourself to the emptiness. It's like the mind can't do it. It doesn't make any sense to the mind. I have so much love in my heart. Something I just want to say, I love you guys. I just have so much fucking love. It's just like my heart, it just feels really open, happy, thrilled to be alive, And I feel like God is using the circumstances I'm in right now to just kind of really dissolve the separate self, really dissolve the one who wants things to be this way and doesn't like things this way, the one who just seeks pleasure and wants to avoid pain. It's like that one, it's just, that one's having a hard time, right? But not that hard, because there's not a bunch of it here. I think that's why things are so much easier this time through, is there's just not as much of that part of me here as there had been in the past when God would ask me to live out of my car. It just feels like more heart, more soul, more love, more peace, more light, more surrender, more rest. And then sometimes the separate self that, fights with life, it comes up and it gets the wheel like it did yesterday, and it's just drive too much and whatever. But that's part of the process too of surrendering, of the separate self sort of unraveling itself, like just kind of falling away. It's like, sometimes we do that. And we gotta take our time too and love all those parts as they fade into non-existence. And then we just become non-existence itself. And there's not much to complain about when you don't exist. You know what I mean? Who's here to complain? It's like when the water spilled. There was not really anyone here to be upset. It was very interesting. It was like, oh, well. It's like, who is here to complain when you don't exist? There's just heart. There's just love. It's just joy. It's just funny. You know, life is just silly. It's something, it just doesn't take things so seriously anymore. Because there's not this dense, heavy egoic structure judging everything. And this is that, and that, this, and this, you know, it needs to happen. It's just like, and you can feel anger come through, and you can feel things, sure, of course, but there's not so much of an attachment to like making a story about it and getting all involved with it. It just moves through. And it's the same with the joy and the love. It just moves through. You're not saying, how can I hang on to this either? Because there's nothing here that wants to get anything out of any of it anymore. There's nothing here getting high off the anger. So many people get high off their own anger. Or they're just so identified with it as who they are. It's their source of energy, right? And then a lot of spiritual people like to really chase joy and heightened feelings or higher vibrations. But that's the spiritual ego too. And when all that collapses and when you just fade into non-existence, there's nothing here to get attached to any of it. And it's all welcome and it all just flows through and it doesn't have to mean anything. And it's the ultimate resting place because there's no efforting. There's no thinking about stuff. There's no grabbing onto, you know, grasping at. There's just life moving through and life doing what it's doing through an empty vessel. And it's just, in my heart, yeah. It's just love. A love for what is. This innate love for what is. Cesare said something similar the other day. She said something about innate love for the moment, or this love that's just natural. We all have it. It's in us all. Because we all are that. Beyond and underneath all the layers of conditioning and programming and things we were convinced that we are, that we've really took in. We are actually all this essence of just love, of this moment, of this timeless, eternal, non-self, non-existing essence. It's not much the mind can understand. It just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. It's like an infinite well. To draw support from, resource from. And when we're in hardship or difficulty on the human level, it's like that's the only place to turn to, is this infinite well of wellness, essentially, of God, of divinity. It's like things are hard. Can you go an inch deeper into the well, you know? Can you go a foot deeper? And can you rest there? Can you reside there? And then the deeper you go into this well, the more this well of goodness and divinity, the more it tends to reflect back at you in the external, regardless if things are hard or difficult. I was just walking to go use this restroom, and I saw this little birdie, and I just was like so one with the bird. I was like, oh, bird friend. And it was just like so magical, you know? It's just a magical kingdom of heaven around you that reflects back at you when you're surrendered deep into the well of goodness and divinity within you. It's like that well projects out. The deeper you're surrendered into the well of goodness within you, the more it's going to project out into your reality. Even in hell. Even in hell. And it transcends heaven and hell. There's no heaven or hell at a certain level of realization. But relative speaking, and this is where things get paradoxical and people struggle with non-duality. And the teacher said this one day and then this the next day. It's like, yeah, there is heaven and hell. There is duality. There is darkness and light. But then there also isn't. There also isn't. There's also just peace, you know? Underneath everything, the fabric of everything is just peace. It's just well-being. That's what supports this whole thing. And then there's obviously the play of shapes and colors and duality and drama. And there's a play of energy. There's a play going on, but it's just a play. It's just a play. And when it's done, it fades back into the oblivion of peace again, where it emanated from, and then comes back out. We play again. It's nothing to take that seriously, unless it feels real to take it seriously. You can. Great, take it seriously. Why not? That's part of the fun, to get lost in it. Consciousness is so free, it can get lost in its own creation. It's so free, it can fall asleep and forget itself, and forget where it came from, and forget what it is. Look around, that's almost all humans. And that's okay, that's perfect. Why not? Why not? All right, I never know what the hell these things are going to be anymore. Thanks for being here. Loving you guys so much. Thanks for your support with your donations. They help out a lot. Bought me some good food yesterday. Super great. Appreciate you guys. See you in the next video. Namaste.